Once again, we back. We back. And we gonna call this part 3, even though it's really part 2 on here, whatever the case, however we gonna do it. But as y'all already planned, we back. This is my atonement. I'm atoning to the Almighty right now. I really should be more contrite, but I'm happy that the Day of Atonement got it out of me to get back on here and show y'all some things. You know what I'm saying? It's been a while. So right here in chapter 2 and 230 of the Quran, and we know this to be lies and deceit. Once again, Quran of the Muslims, it says, if he divorces, hold on, let me get it. If he divorces her the third time, she shall not be lawful to him afterwards. Now listen, in parentheses, that's not really there. The parentheses is what they added. That's why she put the third time to make it better. If he divorces her, she shall not be lawful to him afterwards until she marries another husband. If he divorces her, there is no blame on them both if they return to each other by marriage. If they think that they can keep within the limits of the deity, and these are the limits of the deities which he makes clear for a people who know. So right here, we're seeing clearly that if he has, that's against Deuteronomy 24, where it says if she marries another man, she can't go back with her first husband. But we see here in the Quran, they will have you going against the Almighty's commandments here. But we can continue though, because we don't have to be nowhere too long. Okay. Zoom in on him. So right here, let's get a look. Say on that day, when some faces turn white, hold on. On that day, let's get closer, fucking. On that day, when some faces turn white and some faces turn some faces turn white and some faces turn black. Then to ask to those whose faces are black, did you disbelieve after your belief? So taste the chastisement because you disbelieved. So right here, we're seeing that the faces who turn black, and we're going to get more into that, because these black faces are the same ones that Muhammad called raisin heads. They talk about how much he loved Bilal, the African Muslim, and we love Bilal so much because Bilal helped us get on our shit. Oh man, but yeah, the black faces. We're gonna continue with that. We're gonna continue. Let's go. So now let's read this, because this is a problem. Because listen, we know Muhammad was 53 years old, and we believe Aisha, his wife, was young. And at the age of her period, it's something we can't even talk about. But Muhammad married Aisha when she was young. Okay, the Muhammad of the Arabs. Is it true? Is it not true? Let's read verse 4. Let's and give women their dowries a free gift. But if they themselves be pleased to give you a portion thereof, consume it with the enjoyment and pleasure. And make not over your property, which the deity has made a means support for you, to the weak of understanding, and to maintain them out of it, and clothe them and give them a good education. Now here it goes. And test the orphans until they reach the age of marriage. What is the age of marriage in Islam? What is it in Islam? Because because we hear about stuff in different places like Yemen and how young they're getting married in Islam. So what is the age of marriage? Then if you find them maturity of intellect, make over them their property and consume it not extravagantly and hastily against their growing up. And whoever is rich, let them abstain. Whoever is poor, let him consume reasonably. And when you make over them their property, call witness in their presence. And the deity is enough as a reckoner. But we don't know the age of marriage with these Arabs. They're never going to answer it because Muhammad had that young wife, very young, when she got on her period, supposedly. Let's continue, though. Let's see who is forbidden for these people to lay with in the Quran. In the Quran. Forbidden to you are your mothers. That's good. I'm so glad. And your daughters and your sisters, yes. And your paternal aunts. And your maternal aunts. And your brother's daughters. And your sister's daughters. And your mothers that have suckled you. And your foster sisters. And mothers of your wives. So you got more than one. And your stepdaughters who are in your guardianship. But if you have not gone into them, there is no blame unto you. And the wives of your son who are not of your loins, that you should have two sisters together, except what has already passed. Surely the deities is for forgiving, merciful. So it says you can have two sisters together. Now we have something, a scripture specifically talking about that. But of course, this is going to tell you to do the opposite and have two sisters together. Let's continue. So now it's talking about laying with married women. Now, are they saying it's okay to deal with married women? It says, and all married women except those who your right hand possesses. So that means all of the married women, but the married women that are the exceptions are the ones in whom is your slave or your right hand possesses. So that's why these people were laying with married women. Your Quran gives you permission to lay with married women as long as they're your slaves. That's what the Quran does. This says the deity's ordinance for you and lawful for you are all women besides those, provided that you seek them with your property, taking them in marriage, not committing fornication. Then, as those who you profit by marrying them, give them dowries as appointed. There is no blame on you about what you mutually agree after what is appointed of dowry. Surely the deity is ever knowing why. Okay, let's continue. Let's see who, let me see, what does it say about you right here? It says, verse 9, this is how we know this is a Desert Arab's book. This is how you know right here, man. This is chapter 9, verse 99. And it says, of the Desert Arabs are those who believe in the deity and the last day and consider what they spend in the prayer of the messenger as bringing them nearer to the deity. Surely they bring them nearer to the deity bring them into his mercy. Surely the deity is forgiving, merciful. Right here, we have the Arab, the desert Arabs will be forgiving, merciful into the desert Arab, bringing them nearer to the deity and the desert Arab. So we know right here, this is a desert Arab book. This ain't got nothing to do. And you know what? it's going to more clearly show you that later, that it's talking about a white desert Arab, but it's not talking about a blue eye. It's because it goes against the blue eyes in the Quran. It will tell you the blue-eyed ones are the guilty ones. They're the guilty ones, not the Arab. They're not guilty. All right, let's continue though. So right here, if we zoom in, we can get into the guilty blue-eyed. Whoever turns away from he will surely bear a burden on the day of resurrection. Abiding there in the evil will be their burden on the day of resurrection, the day when the trumpet is blown, and we shall gather the guilty blue-eyed on that day. Ha! So the guilty blue-eyed on that day, consulting together secretly, you tarried but 10 days. Right here, the guilty blue-eyed, and then they can consult together. The blue-eyed people consulting together is the blue-eyed nation. And they are the guilty ones. As you can see in the Quran, the desert Arab Quran is not talking about, you're talking about white desert Arabs, not the white that we may see with the Gentile, with the other Gentile nations. We kind of consider these Ishmaelites. But let's continue. So we see right here. Listen, this is for the house of Israel. I'm not here for the beginners. I hope you enjoy it. But this right here is a no-brainer. The Almighty in the 10 Commandments, he said, there's no adultery. There is no adultery. Say right here, the adulteress and the adulterer, flog each of them with 100 stripes. It said 100 stripes. No, they're supposed to get put to death. The adulterer and adulteress, according to Leviticus chapter 20, we know, do I need to read it? Shall surely be put to death. But right here it said the adulterer and the adulteress, flog of them with 100 stripes, and let not pity for them detain you from obedience to the deity. If you believe in the deity in the last days, and let a party of believers witness their chastisement. The adulterer cannot have sexual relations with any but the adulteress, or the idolatress and the adulteress. None can have sexual relationships with her but an adulterer or an idolater, and it is forbidden to believers. So right here, we're seeing the adulterer and the adulteress get to live in the Quran. They get to only have sex with people who do the same sins. They get put in a category where they all get to bunch up together and come together. All the adulterers can come together in unity in the Quran. Because it says the adulterer and adulteress, you got to stripe them 100 times at the beginning. And then the next verse say they can only have sex. Now they're talking about sex for some reason in the Quran. They can only have sexual relations with any but an adulterer or an adulteress. So now you're trying to have adulterous sex people have sex with other adulterers. Now, what type of, you know what I'm saying, mind state, or what type of laws will we going to have the adulterers just having fornications with one another? What's really good in the Quran of the Muslims? Y'all know how we do. I told y'all to go get y'all Quran. This is chapter 24, verse 3. We're going to continue, though. Right here, we see, let's just read it. And it's verse 60. Let's get it. And on the day of resurrection, thou will see those who lied against the deity. Their faces will be blackened. And isn't there not a hell and a bowl for them? We already showed where the face is black and all that. We already showed that. So we're talking about this deity. And he's turning their face black. I don't care what y'all talking about. We know Muhammad was calling his slaves raising heads. All right. Talking about Bilal. I don't want to hear the way y'all is like even in Egypt today, in the Cairo Museum, they done dug up all those African tombs in those pyramids and put them on display in a box, but they would never do that to Muhammad. I know how they feel about the blackened people. Let's get up off here. Now I'm gonna keep it going right here. What does it say? Oh, you who believe, eat of the good things that we have provided to you with, and give thanks to the deity. If if he it is whom you serve. He has forbidden you only what dies of itself, and blood, and the flesh of swine, and that over which any other name other than that of the deity has been invoked. Then whoever is driven by necessity, not desire, nor has seen a limit, nor sin is upon him, surely the deity is forgiving, merciful. Right here, it says only thing you can't eat is pig, but you can eat shrimp, lobster, oyster, crabs. They eat camels. It's going to show you that they eat camels. So the Quran, this is the only thing. It's not that much better than the New Testament. Really, look at it. The only thing we forbidden you was what died of itself. Meaning it got so old it fell to the side. Like, don't eat that. And blood, okay, that's good. We ain't supposed to eat blood either. And the flesh of swine. What about the flesh of a skunk? I mean, you eating. What about the flesh of a camel? Because I'm gonna show you how where they said they eat camel meat. I think I got it in this. I think I got it in here. In fact, let's continue. Yeah, right here. Right here. They do eat camel meat. So I just showing you, I just showed you the Muslim dietary law. They do not have anything. Let's read it. And the camels, we have made them of the signs appointed by the deity for you therein is much good. So mention the name of the deity on them standing in a row. Then when they fall down on their sides, eat of them and feed the contending one and the beggar. Thus have we made them subservient to you, that you may be grateful. So right here we're seeing that they're eating camel meat. This is what Muslims eat, and that's the first animal it tells us not to eat, according to the scriptures. If you look at Leviticus chapter 11, it's not talking about not eating pig first. Pig is actually the third animal mentioned. First it was camels, then it was the hare, and then it went to the pig. But right here, we're seeing that it's telling you to eat the camels. And not only does it tell you to eat camels in the Quran, but it will have you feed poor people that abomination too. So you don't have nothing to eat. So eat this, what you're not even supposed to be eating. Let me give you this. Let me give you this hell food, is what they're trying to teach you to give to the poor in the Quran. Feed them camels, the first animal that was mentioned not to eat. But he didn't mention the pig first. But let's continue. You know, I don't even like using the internet ones. I'm gonna keep them. This one is. I think this is kind of important. Let me try to zoom in. Let me see if I can back it up a little. We made unlawful for Jews all animals with claws and nails, and the fat of oxen and sheep, except on their backs or their intestines, or which remain attached to their bones. This was a punishment for the insubordination, and what we say is true. This is just basically saying that he gave us our dietary law as a punishment. That's all it's saying right here in chapter 6 and 146 in the Quran. I don't like to use these, so I'm gonna keep it moving. I did some of these because it would be on two separate pages, and I couldn't, cut it out the way I would like to. So, but let's continue. go back to the dietary law. Forbidden to you is that which dies of itself in blood. This is right here is the Muslim dietary law for all the people who just don't know. You know what I'm saying? And this is a different script. This right here is 5 and 35. You know, forbidden to you is that which dies of itself in blood, in the flesh of swine, and that which any other name than that of the deity has been invoked, and the strangled animal that is beaten to death, and that killed by a fall, and that killed by goring with the horn, and that which wild beasts have eaten, except what you slaughter, and that which is sacrificed on stones set up for idols, and that you seek to divide by arrows, that is a transgression. Okay, so these, it don't tell you what animals, it tells you the only way you can eat it is how it died. So this is how their dietary works in Islam. It's not about which animal not to eat, it's how the animal died that determines if you eat it. So I'm going to end it off with this one. Take a little breaky break. They asked thee as to what is allowed to them. Say, the good things are allowed to you, and what ye have taught the beasts of birds of prey, training them to hunt. You teach them of what the deity has taught you. So eat of that which they catch for you, and mention the name of the deity over it, and keep your duty to the deity. Surely the deity is swift in reckoning. So it said, now according to our laws, you're not to eat certain animals that are caught in that manner. But of course, the Quran will have you do opposite. But these are later lessons. I would have to put the scriptures next to these things. But right now, I'm just giving all praises, all glory to the Almighty. Of course, this is me atoning, letting y'all know and giving y'all some of these things in the Quran to never forget how the Prophet tore down the Islam like it was nothing, because it is nothing. Just go into the book and you'll see it's nothing. The book is trash. But you're going to continue. We're going to continue with this. I do not want to insult any of my Muslim friends. This is only doctrine, has nothing to do with them as a people or as a person. This is all about doctrine. Because I think that this doctrine helps them become more disciplined people than a lot of Christians. So I can't say that, whatever. We're just having a discourse. All praises to the mighty Yahweh.